What's up, folks? This is Steel. Welcome back to Steelcast 27. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. This is going to be a channel update slash state of the game video. I've never done a state of the game video yet, so I was interested in doing one. And of course, patch 5.6 came out, so I had to wait for that. Basically, it's a chance for me to say what's up, give you a status update on where the channel's been, where it's going, where it is now, and also the same thing with World of Warships. I'm going to talk about the game, how it is as it stands right now, where the game is going, and what my impressions are. Do I think the game is heading in the right direction? Whether or not all the little changes that they do here and there are helping or hurting the game. But first, about the channel, I think I've finally hit a stride where I'm happy with where the quality is. Now, for those of you that have been subscribers for a while, you know this has been a little bit of a process. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. I updated my game capturing software. I updated the audio capturing equipment, the headphone basically. I had to work through a lot of issues just trying to get the audio to record properly so I could bifurcate, team speak and narration so that you guys can hear me clearly. And not being that familiar with computers, it was a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of trial and error. I'm really happy with the new video rendering and editing software that I got. It took a little while to get used to it, but I'm getting into my stride with it now. It saves a lot of time. It gives me a lot more flexibility. That way I can concentrate more on quality as opposed to just technical issues and having to redo things over and over again. The biggest change you could probably notice is I'm not featuring that many game comms or team comms videos, and I'm focusing more on narration for ship reviews and the history videos. And the reason being was with my old software system and with the TeamSpeak, I just couldn't say what I wanted to say. And I couldn't get into a lot of the ship review stuff because there's so much information about match analysis and the ships themselves to talk about. And if you're in a team game com kind of situation, there really isn't that much time to fit in what you need to say in between a conversation, and people have told me that it's kind of distracting. So I moved in this direction, and that required a lot of the software work that I had to deal with and I talked about before. But the bottom line is I probably save about 20 minutes of my life every week just editing out curse words from drinking 247. So where are we headed? Well, as you can probably also notice, I've kind of put the history videos on the shelf, and it doesn't mean I'm not doing them anymore. I'm still planning on doing them. It's just a matter of priority. I had done, I think, 19 history videos, and I wanted to get into the ship review stuff, so I started working on ships that I had already done history videos on before it, but I also decided to move in that direction totally. So basically, it's a matter of priority. If I have a good video in a ship that I haven't done a history video before, I'm going to do a ship review first, and then a few weeks later, if I have another good match in it, I'll do a history video. It's pretty simple. They're coming, trust me. Don't worry. My current goal is to get at least 2 World of Warships videos out per week, and I'm probably going to be featuring some other games too. I think you probably noticed Armored Warfare. I might start releasing a little bit more of those, but at least 2 World of Warships videos a week. I've played World of Tanks, I've played War Thunder, and I'm playing World of Warships now. And the thing that I've noticed through my course or my career with these kinds of games is you get burnt out with the grind. You get burnt out with high-end team organized gameplay. And I'm trying to avoid that. And one of the ways I figured I can do that is to experience other titles, and I'm looking forward to Battlefield 1. I think when that comes out this fall, I'm probably going to be hitting that a little bit harder. I'm going to continue playing Armored Warfare. I'm also interested in Mountain Blade, but I'm not exactly sure if those are going to be video worthy. Let's plays aren't really my thing right now. Of course, if any of you guys have any suggestions about styles of videos that you'd like me to produce, get in touch with me. I'm always open to suggestions, especially from guys that are my loyal subscribers. But that's enough about that. Let's get into the game. First, Russian cruisers. What a great way to introduce a ship line. They weren't OP, they were very competitive, unique but not meta changing. Interesting, fun ships to play with their own styles, their own characteristics. Some of the ships were a little bit, more competitive than others in their given tiers, but that's what you're going to get when you introduce new ships. It's just the way these games work. The weather system, I think, is great overall, and I think they're going to be introducing more dynamic weather that impacts the match itself, like north, which I do have one small complaint about. It's the spot distance drops too much, maybe, and you lose track of your friendly ships. I can't deal with that. I'm a mini map guy, so when I'm looking at the map and I can't see anybody, you're really on your it feels like you're on your own, and I don't like that feeling. So at least they could put your friendly ships on the mini map so you know where they are. I think that would be a great improvement. um, Interface and UI improvements with 5.6 have been great so far. Maybe not an absolute necessity because we have all these mods out there, but really, to be honest, I don't want to rely on mods for a lot of the UI functionality in the game, and I really appreciate when they add those popular mod features into the game itself, into the native. The new TK system, the new team killing system, team killing has been a problem that wargaming has dealt with for probably 10 years across World of Tanks and World of Warplanes and World of Warships. They should be experts, and I think they finally got it right. They implemented a mix of in-game punishment that's not too severe, a warning system, and they took a lot of advice from the player base itself. I think people were saying that team damage shouldn't hurt the team player that gets hit as much, and they definitely put that in. The economy, I feel, still needs work. It needs bigger credit payouts, especially for people that have paid for premium and run premium ships. I think if you have both of those two things, you should never starve for credits. Anytime you unlock a ship, you should be able to unlock it and buy the mods. That's my own personal feeling. And you definitely don't want people to be selling ships to pay, for others. The premium ships, awesome that they introduced them to the tech tree for doubloons. I think that's one of the best decisions they've made since they've been focusing on introducing premium ships. I mean, dangling them like a carrot in front of a stick, forcing people to wait for them to be re-released and released, and overpricing them because they're so exclusive. It's false exclusivity. I mean, really, it's just it's pixels. You don't need to say it's rare because it's not. They just click a button. So don't hold people over the coals. I'd like to see them a little bit more reasonable cost-wise. When you're paying for a ship that costs more than an entire video game, it's a little bit ridiculous. And they're taking advantage of the people that can't say no to themselves. I mean, I've bought 3 premium ships so far, and that's a lot of money. And at this point, I'm not buying anymore. I would, but I'm not. They're just too, they're outpricing me now. I've spent too much, I think. Now let's move into the game itself, the mechanics, how the game actually plays, the metas. They introduced radar a little bit ago, and I haven't heard that many complaints about it on the forums. I haven't played that many high tier matches where it impacts me yet. It's probably because I don't play that many high tier destroyers yet. But when I hear people on TeamSpeak and they're saying, "Hey, this guy's got radar. Hey, that guy's got radar," I'm thinking that's pretty cool, man. I like elements of the game where it changes your play based on an ability that someone has, and that really makes it a more dynamic, more interesting game. Now, as far as a certain class of ships, destroyer players, they might not necessarily like the radar, but it's the reality. If you want to get rewarded for high damage games in ships that launch torpedoes, you have to match that with skill. I think that goes across all video games. You shouldn't be beat by any class of anything in any game just because. And the torp walls, I have seen torp walls, and they are not pretty, and they're not necessarily because the player is skilled at it. But I don't think that that's necessarily the fault of the torpedoes. Maybe I'm kind of flip-flopping on this, but torpedo effectiveness is the torpedo as a weapon in naval warfare was the weapon. I don't know if people realize this. People think battleships, but look at a list of ships sunk in World War II, and I guarantee you 60 to 70% of them, if not more, say, sunk by torpedo, aerial, submarine or otherwise. In real life battles, if captains and admirals saw a torpedo run and a torpedo drop on them, they turned away and they left the battlefield. I mean, look at the Jutland. That is exactly what happened when the Germans tried to torp the British. The British turned away, and then they had to figure out how to re-engage. In this game, you can't turn away. You're forced to turn into the torpedoes. You're forced to advance. So, torpedoes should be hard hitters. But the primary reason why I don't think they're going to be adjusting the torpedoes anytime soon for fairness of balance is because we haven't seen high-end gameplay, organized gameplay yet. We haven't seen clan wars yet, and we haven't seen true team activities, which I think this game is centers on. It's focused on team play. Supporting battleships, spotting torps with your destroyers, spotting other destroyers. All that stuff needs to work together to protect the fleet. And you don't get that in random battles. I mean, you can see guys driving off in a battleship or left alone by their destroyers and screener ships, and those are the guys that get killed. So, from a strictly 1v1, one player in a battleship, one player in a destroyer standpoint, or stealth destroyer standpoint, yeah, it may be unbalanced, but that's not how the game's supposed to work. It's not a 1v1. This isn't Street Fighter, whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is World of Warships. It's a team game. Let's talk about HE and fire damage a little bit. I don't want to get into too much. People have a tendency to say, fire damage is too OP, but this is an arcade game, and they do need to introduce some balancing to help cruisers out that are fighting battleships when you're playing against each other. And fire damage in my mind is a placeholder for all other types of damage that this arcade game does not replicate. For example, a broadside salvo of 6-inch shells into a superstructure of a battleship knocks out systems, it kills men, it slows the ship down, it knocks their rudders out, it turns their electricity off, it does a lot of things. It kills their officers, it could kill their gunnery officers. It does a lot of things that this game does not replicate. So a 6-inch HE shell that starts a fire is just basically a dot. It's supposed to replicate the damage that a ship like a battleship would incur that when they're riddled with small caliber shells. And you can take the when you're sinking, it could mean you're actually sunk by a torpedo or your combat ineffective, but they just use the animation as a placeholder too. So as far as CVs and AA are concerned, they're obviously still tweaking it. There's a lot of work to do with CV surface ship balance that I think they're still kind of working out. I think they may be biding their time for top tier or organized gameplay. But as of right now, CVs I think are inherently unbalanced just by the nature of the ship, and that ticks a lot of people off. Now, carrier drivers might say, well, we're not balanced. I've killed them against other carrier drivers and they're really good. But, remember all those matches that you play where the other carrier driver didn't know his from a hole in the ground, and you basically, ate a sandwich while doing 100,000 damage. You know how hard it is to do 100,000 damage in Wyoming? I don't think I ever did. So, and like I said before, there has to be a skill versus reward balance, and carriers don't have that just yet, and that's why they're introducing stuff like AA. I think they need a little bit more interface work with regards to AA. I think carrier drivers should be able to see when defensive fire is up and things like that. They should be able to maybe perhaps have an ability like a strafing ability, which would reduce the amount of AA a ship has for, say 30 seconds or something like that. Anything that where you have more skill involved, I'm all for it. And I think that would really help with carrier balance, at least carrier surface ship balance. As far as carrier versus carrier balance, I think they should introduce the ability to launch any flight package you want. You should have an X amount of planes available to your ship, 2 fighters, 2 torps, 2 bombers, or whatever, more or less. And then you're able to launch 3, 4, 5 at a time. So that would make a carrier driver more adaptable in game, instead of, obviously getting crushed by a guy who wants to go air superiority. You can land your bombers, launch your planes, fight them in a skill versus skill environment, and then relaunch your bombers and torp bombers. Now, when I wrap up with where this game is going, I think the meta is good right now. I think it just needs some more tweaking, and they're doing that. Introducing more ship lines. Obviously, the Royal Navy, I've heard that they're coming out this year at some point, maybe the end of the year. The German BBs are next, end of August. More maps, more weather. But I think the biggest improvement would be to introduce clans and team battles. I think it'll flush out all the positives that this game has to offer. And that's it. Those are my thoughts. If you stuck around this long, please make a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I'll catch you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you liked the video and you want YouTube to let you know when I release more, please feel free to like and subscribe. I plan on putting out 2 to 3 videos per week of ship reviews, history, and gameplay. My live stream is currently on Twitch at the URL right there. Good luck, have fun, and I'll see you next time.